Men of Reddit. What are some of the most creative, hilarious euphemisms you've heard on the job? One of my coworkers got off a phone call and rushed into my office to tell me that, when she had asked the customer how they were doing, their answer was, "I'm eating corn and crapping Skittles." We think that means he's doing well. Look at those guys, they look like a couple monkeys trying to fuck a football, when people are struggling at their task. You're shitting in tall cotton now, when success is achieved. Hotter than two rats fucking in a wool sock. It do be hot outside sometimes. Your hair looks nice today. Boss. Get fucked. My coach in HS would say you are higher than a putang on a giraffe, to describe someone not being low enough in football or wrestling. He had a deep southern accent. Honorable mention to you're harder to open up than a pistachio with no crack and quat. Not really a euphemism, but one of my professors in response wrote what was apparently a dumb question. Son. That's as plain as an asshole on a goat walking uphill. And quat. I've still never actually seen that firsthand. But it was sufficiently descriptive that I understood immediately what he meant. Lol. Him. Who? The guy with the summer teeth? Me. Summer teeth? Him. Yeah, you know. Some are over here. Some are over there. He couldn't get water out of a boot if the directions were on the bottom of the heel. He's as useful as a $3 bill. We can't all be lucky or smart. But we can all not be. Name. This was because he told a very doubtful story about losing a lotto ticket worth some good money. He'd argue which way was up. So-and-so's alright. Once you get past knowing them, that's just the bee's knees. I'm drawing a blank right now. But I know there's more. What are some unspoken social rules that may not be completely obvious? Staying out of other people's personal space. If you're talking to someone and they're slowly backing away, you're probably too close. A woman will say no to your advances to have sex, just so she looks like good girl. Who hasn't done that with 50 other guys? A woman will also say no to your advances to have sex, because she doesn't want to have sex with you. It's up to you as a man to be socially calibrated enough to understand which is which. If you go to a mostly empty restaurant that allows you to sit wherever you want, don't choose a table right next to someone else. Because the person at that table might be an asshole like me who will deliberately say offensive things out loud to ruin your good time. If you can sit anywhere, show some GD courtesy. Once you hit a certain age, maybe mid-late 20s and certainly by 30, you will find yourself starting to drift away from your friends. If a friend asks you to hang out a few times in a row and you keep saying no, he'll eventually give up and the friendship will die. So if you actually care about the friendship, and you should, make sure you set up a hang sooner than later. Stand to shake hands. Look them in the eye and always allow the person to engage before closing your hand to shake. Nothing worse than a weak premature squeeze of your fingers. It shows that you are nervous or have no idea. Do not squeeze death grip tightly as it also shows weakness. And never hand a man a dead fish. A weak handshake is worse than none. If you eat out and your order is more expensive than everyone else's, you don't get to ask to split the bill. Ignore embarrassing things that happen to others sometimes. Pretend not to notice the spit that flew out by accident, etc. Pointing it out is just bad manners. Be courteous even to people you don't like. Bashing or antagonizing people is trashy. Not remembering childhood? If you find this distressing, it would be worth your time to see a counselor and/or psychiatrist. My theory is that you haven't needed to reference that time in your life for a really long time. So your brain packed it up and put it away somewhere. My brain does that all the time. If someone asks me about something that happened more like a month ago, it takes me a good week to pull it to the surface. Bodies are weird. Brains are weirder. That's why we have specialists. Good luck. I had repressed much of my childhood as a coping mechanism for trauma and eventually started remembering some of it in my late 20s after years of therapy. Sometimes your brain just does stuff. Man. I find most folk don't. I was sort of gifted with a rather astounding memory, so I act as sort of the keeper of childhood memories for my whole family. I'll often say something to my brother and he will say well, if you say it happened I can't argue, as I haven't got a clue. I tick 40 this year and my memory stretches back all the way to late age 5. Weird thing is that to me it's still strange that others can't remember as clearly, in sort of video in my mind, as I do. How do you even remember where stuff is or anything? However, it's also very much a double-edged sword. Remembering everything means everything. Even the bad stuff. I think it depends on the person. I'm a couple of years older than you but remember a lot of my childhood clips compared to others starting from about 2 years old. These are saved in my head as scenes in quad. I did have some rough moments. Funny, embarrassing, and horrified moments that are seared in my brain. However, many recorded moments are not as much in my memory. Some are more of my uncle making us smile during some holidays while being the recorder around, which I remember thinking was annoying since we were eating. I wouldn't worry too much about it though. Day who is American plan on tapping out if they get diagnosed with cancer or any other kind of disease, rather than waste money, time, and pain trying to fight it? I work in healthcare, and I was literally just having this conversation last night. I find myself leaning more towards your side too. I think this take is absurd. Are you saying life isn't worth living if you're disabled? Just got back from my lovely walk by the water with my husband who was diagnosed with advanced cancer over a year ago. We laughed, played with our dog, held hands, and enjoyed the sunshine. He's making us some lunch right now. I'm sure glad he didn't have your attitude. Ideally, I'll be living in another country before that happens, but if not, yeah. No. I've seen people cure their cancer from home growing up. Treatment is for the well-off, but health is for everyone. I'm so glad I'm not alone in this thinking. Yep. Serious illness equals my time to go, gracefully and willingly. I've got great insurance and many cancers are easily treatable. So, no. I'd give treatment a shot. My best friend's dad just went out the way he wanted to. He fought it for years. Then decided to go through the process, 2 doctors approving, of physician-assisted suicide in his own bedroom. Not all states do this and you have to be terminal and quat. My friend's dad was done with the pain. He didn't want to prolong the inevitable and just making it messier and messier. Totally depends on the type of cancer and prognosis. I for one, not trying to brag, have had cancer twice. 2 totally unrelated incidents. About 11 years apart. Beat them both. The last one was the worst of the 2. That was over 17 years ago. I'm fine now.